Mental health is your mental wealth. You gotta look after yourself.
This podcast creates a space for conversation around real experiences with mental health, trauma, violence, and/or substance misuse. We have this conversation without labels, judgment, or pressure. Each guest's stories is their own, and sharing is always voluntary. The guests choose what to share and how much. Please be aware of your limits and stop watching if needed. Let's get this conversation started. How you doing, Miss Crystal?
Hey, Desi.
How you doing? Thank you for being willing to share your story around some real lived experiences.
Thanks for having me, Desi.
Yeah, I really appreciate this. You ready for this, Crystal?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So when you hear the term, your mental health is your mental wealth, what does that mean to you?
At first, Desi, I really didn't understand it. And start thinking about it. If I'm not well in the mind, there's really nothing else I could do. You know, you could have all the brain power in the world, but if you're not right mentally, it doesn't make any difference.
Right. I'm glad every time I have a guest on, I get something more and more, right? And the message is there because your mental is your thinking, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me go back to this term. And you don't know who wrote it, don't know who started it, but I love it. And I put it as my tag, but I'm going to say it because what you said, if a child can do advanced math, speak 3 languages, and receive top grades, but they cannot manage their emotions, practice conflict resolution, or handle stress, none of that other stuff is really going to matter.
That part.
Right.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
part.
So you said that. So now you came on, you agreed to do this based on conversations that we've had, and we're trying to get this to be a normal conversation. So when did you realize that you had some mental health issues, and what shaped them?
Actually, Desi, I'll say when I didn't label them as mental health issues.
Right.
When I kind of felt that something was wrong, it started as behaviors.
Okay.
I got kicked out of the Milwaukee public school system when I was 11 years old for gambling. Um, I was stealing money out of my mother's purse when I was like 10, 11 years old. I got caught gambling in the schools when I was very young, so I got kicked out of the Milwaukee public school system. My mother had even took me down to the community journal and did an article on me when I was like 11 years old. I had started stealing out of stores, had a record at a very young age, and it spiraled into something greater, drug addiction, prison, along the line. Like I said, at that point, I didn't recognize it as having mental health issues. As I said, it began to spiral into something greater and something more negative.
Okay.
So when I got older, I recognized that it was mental health issues.
Right. So realizing that when you, like now, being where you are and the growth that you made and thriving through your mental health issues, how did it affect the way you coped and dealt with life up until this
Oh,
point?
I was very compulsive.
Okay.
I never thought that the things I was doing were that wrong to the point where they were leading me into so much negativity. I was act first, think later, and it caused me a lot of problems. I mean, a lot of problems. I didn't know that my problems were so deep rooted. I didn't know that adoption, anger, frustration, deep rooted rage. I didn't know all of those things were considered mental issues. I didn't know that those were things that were hurting me deep inside. And I didn't know that they were shaping my future.
Right.
And
Right.
come to find out, that was my mental health.
Right.
That was my mental health.
Right. Is it fair to say I'm listening to what you're saying and just kind of to put it in some different layman terms as the same. You said a couple words. Is it fair to say maybe some abandonment? Did you feel abandoned at times?
All that.
Okay.
All of that. Yeah. And instead of me trying to fill the void, because it was a void. And I filled that void with everything but, I guess, the right thing.
Right.
Because, like I said, ended up doing prison for conspiracy to commit armed mass robbery.
Whoa.
Ended up, being on crack. All of this, I tried to fill that void with everything but the right thing.
Right.
Only because I didn't know what the right thing was. I didn't know that I had mental health issues.
Right.
This had become a way of life for me.
Right.
Doing the wrong thing.
Wow, it was a norm.
A norm,
and
exactly.
now we trying to change the norm and let people know.
That part.
Because, the definition of norm, and I tell people, I usually use the terminology healthy versus unhealthy, because those are universal as well, right?
That part.
No matter what we might look at as healthy, is healthy, and unhealthy is the same. Normal, however, the definition of that is what the majority is doing. So if we look at the majority of, like, they used the example when I was looking into this more and understanding what it meant. The example they used, they were talking about dysfunctional families. So they used the definition of what dysfunctional families look like, right? And it was like 78 to 80% families were dysfunctional in the United States. That's the majority, which means that's normal. Am I correct? Based on the definition that normal describes. So how do we change that? So we know that's not healthy. Dysfunctional isn't healthy, but that's become normal. You just stated that was normal, right? So we got to learn. We don't know no better. We can't do no better.
That part.
So my goal in having people like you on is to make it a normal conversation now, to get us to talk about it and start the healing process, whatever that looks like for each one individually.
And Desi, too, the thing about it is that, there's nothing wrong with having mental health issues. Having mental health issues, that's not a bad thing. It makes you human. Everybody in this world got mental health issues. It's just all in how you deal with it. But the first thing you got to do is recognize that it's so overlooked.
Oh, yeah.
It is so overlooked. And like now with them closing down all these mental health facilities, I am so proud of you and what you're doing to try to help our community. Because ain't nobody else trying to do it.
Well, I think it's people that are doing it. It's
not in this kind of forum.
Right.
Not in this type of way.
I get it. I just don't want to not acknowledge, like, I get guidance from people and support from people. And I get people that support me. Big, huge shout out, I'll say, like, to Milwaukee County, who I could call, and they have, and if I have to be that vessel to, hey, I have somebody that's this and the other, and they take the time to talk to me, and they educate me that I could come back out, and I just, have a different relationship and rapport in the community, because even my relationship with you, the people that you touch, the people shouts out to a lot of my friends and family and people that have become family, that so it's people, it's just we gotta now start making it normal for us to talk about it. I can't be solo, right? I can't be by myself. So I appreciate all the love, support, and credit that you give me. But now it's my time to just say, I'm not doing it alone, right? I do have people behind me. And I don't, that at this point, I don't know if I want to say their names, not because it's just, I don't know.
I'm not discounting, I'm not discounting, but I'm just saying, I'm taking this time to give you
I appreciate
your props,
that.
because you are what I see now.
Right.
That's stepping to the forefront and putting your foot in the mud.
I appreciate that.
You understand what I'm saying? I know that there's, trust me, I'm with you.
Right,
and
right.
I'm been there with you and I'm gonna be there with you to the end, but you are reaching out to people that we all know in this community.
Right. And
You
that's
know,
my,
Mr.
yeah.
Bill,
Right.
you know, Cuckoo Cal, you know, people that we know in this community that we can all actually relate to.
Right.
Some of the people that you know, like in the county and in the city, a lot of us regular folk don't know.
Right. Right.
So
I
you're
get it.
actually putting people out here that we can relate to, people that we know. That's, you know what I'm
And
saying?
that's my mission.
Yeah,
Because we relate to each other. And
that part.
I had to relate, and I'm gonna say this on this topic, and I'm gonna say her name, Miss Brenda Wesley, because it was years ago, and I was going. I try to always go to trainings and learn as much as I can from people, and she became an idol to me. Her and Dr. Pat McManus. Around the same time, I heard those women speak, and they were powerful Black women that I looked at, and each one gave me something different. Miss Brenda Wesley shared a story that touched me because I related to it. And she was somebody that I could go up and touch, and she was me, basically. You know what I'm saying? I was her, and she is a good friend of mine. Dr. Pat McManus was, I mean, a very strong, like, I want to be her. I want to grow up and be like her. Again, I could touch her. So I knew when I was thinking, like you said, you see people, you can't go on TV or whatever. So I wanted us to get in front of us to talk so people will know that we're here. Like, we're not alone. We're not on an island, and we make a difference. We make this community. We make those people that we can't touch where they are. Without us, they couldn't be there. So we need to stick together and start healing and making this that normal conversation.
And too, you know, I felt it like really imperative for me to get on here to kind of speak for people in my age here. I'm 62. To speak for
Look
people in
good
my age.
too. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Desi. To speak for people in my age here. When I grew up in Milwaukee, I was raised in the Garden Homes neighborhood, and I remember coming up when it would be real hot outside. We used to sleep with our doors open. Try it now.
Right. It's right.
You know,
Right.
try it now. And I say that to say this. You know, young people, we need y'all help now just like y'all need our help now. Start having a little bit more respect for your elders.
Right.
You know, realize that some of these older people are terrified.
Right.
You know, and if you can't say nothing else, if you can't do nothing else in the run of a day, if you see an old person struggling to get across the street, just do one good deed for the day. Help that old person get across the street. If you see an old person getting on the bus and they struggling to get on the bus, help. Just try. Start with something just that simple. Make it your goal to help one old person throughout the day.
You said something earlier when we were talking, and it kind of resonated with me. And it was just our casual conversation. And you stated, like, you will get on the bus and you see these group of people come on, and some of the things that go through your mind is, dang, I wonder where they slept last night. I wonder, did they have a hot meal to eat? And that resonated with me because it goes back to that healing piece.
Yeah.
Because now, that saying hurt people hurt people. So when we're asking these young people, it's not a big ask, respect, but do they even know, like, do they feel respected? You know what I'm saying? I think that's a big piece that we out here pushing. Oh, they gotta respect. Well, we gotta respect too, and we need to start educating ourselves. The ones of us that are in you, me, other people that already have began thriving within our own mental health, we could reach back and pull one up to just, understand. Because again, if they don't know no better, they won't do better. And some of them haven't been presented any other options in life. So when you said that, it resonated because I said, she on target. You was on target because I see little kids. I've worked with kids as young as 5, and they try to label them. But when I get to really talking to them, because I'm a little different, I'm not no doctor, and I do layman's terms, and I'm sticking the best reality that I can, right? And to listen and see this 5-year-old boy who didn't go to bed until 4 in the morning, but had to get up at 6 o'clock to come to school, who daddy got killed last year. So not only did he lose his daddy, he lost his uncle, his daddy's brother, because now his daddy brother don't know how to deal with this. So now he's stuck with his mama, and I don't use stuck in a negative way, but now he's at home with his mama who's reeling over the fact of the trauma of losing her significant other. And this 5-year-old is carrying all of this and has no clue on what he's carrying.
Mm-hmm.
He don't have ADHD. He got grief.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? He's suffering with depression. It's other things other than that. And no one took the time out to ask or learn him. And so when you said that, that resonated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a message that we need to put out here. They have a lot of like mental health first aid training and all of these things. And it does still have to be set up in a way for us, because evidence-based was not evidence-based on us. So we need more people to be able to relate it out there, to talk about it, like, and translate what that stuff means.
And it's also like you said, educating them. And that's why, like I said, asking the young people to do that. It's this thing, it's a song called Grandma's Hands.
Mm-hmm.
And you have no idea how much of an impact certain things have on these young men too. Because I'm out there. When I get up, I was standing on the bus stop the other night, and it was cold. It was cold. I mean, cold. And I had on something. There was a young man. He had on this little thin jacket. And he was cold. And I said, "Look, forget it. I got some more gloves at home." I took off my gloves and I gave him my gloves. He was like, "Man, thank you so much, ma'am. I was just trying to go see my baby." You know what I'm saying? He said, "I don't be out here like this." He said, "I just didn't know." I said, "Man, it's all right." And I had like $4 in my pocket. I gave. He was like, "Man, I didn't have no." I said, "It's all good, young brother." And he turned around. He said, "Can I hug you?" And I hugged him back. And I felt heat coming from my hands. And it just made me think of that song, Grandma's Hands. And that's why I say, if y'all see a young lady across, you have no idea how much an old person's hand touching a young person's body can transmit into a young person. Right. So they need us too.
Exactly. You're right. And it's a lot of places, organizations, where they're bridging that gap, trying to bring in the generations together.
We all need each other, actually.
Period. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. So that was a good. I love that. I love that right there. I
think how we get down.
Right, I know.
Yeah, you know how we get down.
Yes. You shared your trauma. So how do you feel trauma, not only within yourself, but what you see now, can lead to violence, substance abuse, or risky behavior situations?
Because it makes people think that don't nobody care, Desi. Say, like the example you just gave about the 5-year-old boy. You just answered that one. You figure, these kids, they're in the household with activity happening all night, people around them drinking and, probably no food in the house, that's a form of trauma. And for a young child, not having the right clothes, or because it's so much peer pressure.
Okay, and do you feel it's a connection between trauma, with violence, substance abuse, and risky behaviors? Do you feel
most definitely?
Okay,
most definitely. Desi, just like your mental health, all that comes with eating right. Dieting right, nourishing your body. All of that is your mental health.
Right.
So of course, like you said, that you just gave that perfect example. Right. The 5-year-old, they feeling like because he's so young, he don't feel none of these things.
Right.
He like you said, opposite. He carrying all of it.
Right. Right.
And nobody is asking him, how is this affecting you?
Right.
And that young man is going to grow up carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Right.
So you answered that.
You right, and you right. Yeah, because he was pretty all over, and it came out in anger, right? And it really wasn't anger, because anger is the secondary emotion, and all along it was his grief, right? And I wish I could talk more about him more, because I do activities. and, recognizing his anger cycle, right? And he wouldn't even, he asked what the word meant, grief. And when I explained it to him, he circled it at first, and then he said, no, 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 I can't have that on there, and
Wow.
that touched me. It touched me. I actually took his name off of that paper and I laminated it, right? Because I talked him into, well, no, I think it's important. He listened. I'm like, it's okay. I let him know that and he recircled it. But I will never forget these two young men. One was 5, one 3. One was 5, one was 8, and one was 10. Listen at those ages. Do you hear me? 5, 8, and 10.
Wow.
That
Kids.
they were not ADHD at all. My role is a little different, and I take my role serious when I'm out there, because being a mother, period, a Black African American, whatever you want to call it, mother, raising Black African American children, let alone male children, it hit different. So when I got to this point, I it hits different. So when the kid's not bad, you talk to them. If you just take the time to learn them, we could start some healing. We just need more
Desi, I
people
think a
on
lot of our
board.
kids is turmoiled.
And explain that to me a little bit. What you mean?
They dealing with a lot.
Yes.
They dealing with more than we had to deal with.
Period.
I feel like a lot of them are just turmoiled.
I agree. I totally agree. I wouldn't have used. I didn't the way you said it. I'm gonna use that though. If you don't
Yeah.
mind me stealing it,
But y'all do like
borrowing
just
it.
give me a few dollars.
Okay,
You can have it.
okay, I got you.
You
I
can
got you.
you can have it.
Because I learned, and that's another thing I learned, and I learned from everybody, and I just learned that, and that is a good, perfect way of describing it.
You wonder why a lot of them probably hang out in the streets real late. Someone probably don't have nothing to go home to.
Right.
And as old, especially as grown-ups, we don't know.
Right.
So it don't be so quick to judge and say, well, did they hanging out there? You don't know. Some of them probably they friends are their family.
Right.
So remember, it's always two sides to every story, baby.
Yeah. Sometimes
And
3.
some of them, they just got this anger in them because we don't know what's being done to them at home. We don't
Right.
know, but young kids understand.
The
UGHI,
platform,
hey, UGHI.
yeah, Code Red, we all here.
Yeah,
And
so
it's a lot
don't y'all
more
feel like y'all out there
organizations.
alone either,
Right.
This is a new day, baby.
It's a lot more organizations, and until I have the okay to actually mention them all, outside of Milwaukee County, that I definitely know that I could mention. Until I have the okay to mention them, I won't. But I have to mention there's a lot of people and a lot of places and resources that first we all got to start sticking together, but they're there too.
And we definitely got to put these guns down.
That's true.
That's a MUST.
Yeah.
We got to put these guns down because guns don't cause nothing but death. No other outcome.
Period.
Okay? Had to get that out there.
So we gonna start wrapping our conversation up, and I have another question that I want to know. How you understand your mental health now? What do you wish somebody would have told you back then, or what you would have wished earlier about your mental health that they didn't tell you that you know now?
That it's okay to not be okay.
Preach. Can you say that one more time?
It's okay to not be okay.
That's powerful in itself. That one liner. It's okay to not be okay. I know for a fact that, it's been time, and I've had to come from under this thing, things that I've been through, where I was too afraid to not be okay in certain, in places. So I needed to hear that too still. Yeah. So I really appreciate that. So in closing now, but I really, really enjoy, again, like I said, thank you for coming on.
Girl, no doubt.
I appreciate the support that I'm getting from us regular folks in the community. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be a voice that I didn't have, and I think this platform is allowing all of us to have this voice and start healing, because when we start seeing people that look like us, we start seeing people we just saw at the store. Like, I just seen her on the bus, or I just seen her here or there.
Yeah.
Then we know, I really think. So what do you want the listeners to know about mental health that doesn't get talked about enough? I think you kind of said it, but is there anything else you want to add to it's okay to not be okay?
Well, just accept, it's help out here if you need it. And don't feel bad if you don't feel good.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
It's okay. You ain't by yourself. You are never alone. Believe that. And like I said, it's okay to not be okay.
Well, I appreciate you again. Thank you for holding space for today's conversation. Remember, your mental health is your mental wealth. So please take care of yourself in whatever way you need to. If anything you heard brought something up for you, please remember, you do not have to carry it alone. Support is available, and reaching out is a strength, not a weakness.